Hello and welcome to Gamecraft, the show where we go ahead and create Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition supplement content live for anyone, all the world to see, and we try to create. We try to talk about how to do proper you know uh, crafting and things like that, balancing, that sort of thing. So normally I do a recap. I'm not going to do that this time. So, you don't have to skip anything. The only thing I will recap is what is new, like what I had to do since last time, because between last stream and this stream, I did a couple of tweaks. Specifically, I brought back that thing I accidentally deleted. So in this case, I've also done a couple of updates here just for the cover to make sure that whenever I pull it out, it's got everything looks nice here on the cover. All right. So back into the actual, supplement. All right. So we had the egg form. We have the spark form. I brought back, let's see, we have the flare form, which is sort of like a teenager. So basically so the spark form is like a little infant, incinerating emergence, has high mobility, and I have thought about since then, since creating it, and then bringing this one back, incendiary or oil. You leave behind a trail of fire wherever you move that lasts until you transform. The fire occupies any space you occupy or leave while in this form, and deals 1d6 fire damage to any creature occupying the same space. At the start of that creature's turn, you are immune to this fire damage. That's what we created before, and I just brought it back in. And what I did was I also cut out of this the thing about grappling. When you are grappling a creature, the fire deals 1d6 fire damage to the creature you are grappling. A creature that is grappling you also takes 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns until you change forms again. So this we do need to mention. Creature that you are grappling, or that's not good. You're grappling or is grappling you also takes 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns. I'm trying to turn down volume here. Okay. Yeah, so when you are grappling a creature, the fire deals 1d6 fire damage to the creature you are grappling. A creature that you are grappling, let's see, that doesn't sound very good at all. Creature you are, creatures you are grappling. Creatures you are grappling or are grappling you also take 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns until you change forms again. So yeah, so that may be reworded again, but basically I might have to say like while grappling or whatever, but that gets the idea across. Basically, incendiary oil is going to cause fire to erupt onto the ground, and maybe we don't need to worry about that, because if you're constantly dealing fire to people who are on the same space as you, we don't actually need this technically. We'll just do extra damage to people who are grappling. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I think I'm doubling up on fire damage here, and that doesn't need to happen. Up here, I did creatures occupying the same space as you must make a DC 15 dexterity saving throw or take 2d6 fire damage. That's whenever you transform. But again, it may be doubling up, but we may not need to. We may just do, we'll see. That might be a bit much. But these are the changes I made since last time, and I wasn't. I was kind of rushed on making those changes. So if you think those seem silly, that's because they're kind of rushed. But anyway, fiery transformation. When you take an action or bonus action, you gain a heat intensity point. Yeah. So basically, we go, and then there's fiery form. Is like the that's sort of like your Dave's sort of adult form. And then we've got Inferno form, which is like his hero form, his heroic form, and then Ashen form is like his elderly form. So we created all that last week. Now we're going to get into it and pretty much finish this up. For example, we have burning wings in here twice as a, because we haven't done it. And also I realized that sizes, we didn't specify, we specified your actual size, but we didn't specify your mechanical size. So spark form is clearly going to be at least a small creature, but I would say, yes, yeah, this one is you are, let me see, what was it again? The wording that 5th edition used. I looked at it up like 10 minutes ago, but I've forgotten exactly what it just said. I think it just says you are a medium creature or something to that effect. But let's see. Size. Your size is. I see. Your size is medium. Your size is, yeah. Your size is small. So your size is small here. And up here we're going to say, we're actually going to make you a tiny creature while you're in your egg form, which is going to be very unique. Let's see. Your size is tiny. Now, we do not have, I just realized, there's an actual feature that small creatures like halflings get that allows them to occupy, I think gnomes get it as well. Let's see. Gnome cunning. No, I guess not. It must just be halflings. It allows you to occupy the same space as a medium or larger creature. Halflings get it, I'm fairly certain. Brave, halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is of size larger than yours. So we're going to give that to spark form. Let's see, childlike energy, additional action. We could say childish nimbleness, and then make it, you get an additional action, bonus actions, and then also the thing where you get to occupy spaces, which would make sense. It wouldn't be too crazy to combine them. Yeah, let's do that. Childish nimbleness. Because that would be part of the nimbleness, is you being able to take additional actions very quick. Let's see. You can also move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than you. Size larger than yours. All right, there we go. You can also move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than yours. So, basically, that looks good. So now we have their ability, that it adds to their mobility. Let's see. We may end up just giving them a bonus action, an additional action, and not also 2 bonus actions. But this D12 thing is a major detriment there. So flare form, incendiary oil, and this is all leaning into it. By the way, I was thinking about the fact that yeah, we don't need to do this because we already have the egg that explodes. A burning oil ignites in your skin while you rapidly grow in size. Is you know what, a burning dripping oil. Actually, we're going to say it down here. Incendiary oil. Burning oil on your skin constantly drips to the ground beneath your feet. You leave behind a trail of fire wherever you move that lasts until you transform. The fire occupies any space you occupy or leave while in this form and deals 1d6 fire damage to any creature occupying the same space at the start of that creature's turn. You are immune to this fire damage. When you are grappling a creature, the fire deals 1d6 fire damage to the creature you're grappling. Oh, that's that was not poorly. That was moved from flaring ignition. Honestly, I guess we don't need any of this anymore. I forgot all about that. Incendiary oil, dealing fire damage to anyone who's occupying the same space. If you are grappled, oh, you don't occupy the same space if you're grappled, do you? So when you are grappling a creature or grappled by a creature, fire. That's fire deals 1d6 fire damage to the creature. Uh, hmm. We can probably just put this. Creatures you are grappling or are grappling you also take 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns until you change forms again. So that's really good there. Fiery transformation. When you take an action or bonus action, you gain a heat. Yeah, okay. So, and then fiery form. So we're probably going to have to change this one because it's an F again, and that's another thing about naming things that's important. Is that you don't want to if they're distinct, if they're two different things that are distinct but look similar, like fiery and flare, both have F, and then the flare has an L, fiery has an I. They're similar looking letters. They both have an R as the fourth letter, and it ends up, and they have a vowel there in the middle, and then it's going to make them look very similar. They're going to end up being a little bit confused when looking through there, which is what you saw happen to me whenever I was editing it. I ended up deleting the flare form completely while editing last week. So, or not last week, but a couple days ago. It was like 2 days ago. So yeah, that's going to be important to do. Let's see. Let's see now. Okay, consuming fire. We're going to go ahead and all we have in this form is the transformation. This is your main form, and I feel like there is a good reason to maybe leave it pretty bare. The other ones either have detriments and then a few things that make them viable to survive during, because you already have fire resistance and illuminating aura. We don't need necessarily to give your primary form. This is your normal during the day form, and I'd say it's probably the most stable form. It might be interesting to specifically call that out. If I could think of a feature to go along with the idea of calling it stable flame or something like that, then that would be interesting. I think, but we're gonna leave that as is. The ashen form is not going to have the burning wings. It's actually going to be very weakened. I think your speed is going to be reduced to 20 feet again. I guess we should continue to add these in. So flare form is probably medium. Would it still be small? I believe this is dwarf size, and dwarves are still medium. So yeah, we're going to go up here to, I'm just going to copy and paste that sentence and just change it, because that's how you save time. Size is medium. Fiery form. Your size is also medium. And I believe elderly form, the ashen form, is going to also be medium. And in this case, we had left it how it was, but we are actually going to make this, you're small and frail now. We're going to say I think we should say around 5 feet tall. I believe. It still says merely a spark. While, let's see, burned to an ashen husk, you are around 5 feet tall and weigh. You are actually, I think they do say about. You are about 5 feet tall and weigh around 120 pounds. Your size is medium. Okay, so there we go. What do we have down here? Do we still have the speed down here? Okay, good. We brought that to 30 feet. Heroic form should be 30 feet as well, but also gains 30 feet of fly speed. I think that what we're going to do is we're going to go to the, let's see, Goliath. Does the half orc have it, or is it just the full orc? Or am I going to pull out the Goliath in on DnDBeyond? The half orc is not considered large. Okay, so we got to go to DnDBeyond so I can get the exact wording of that. Let's see, DnDBeyond. Okay. Game rules, races. Where is orc or Goliath? Okay, Goliath is first in the list. And they have powerful build. It's a very common feature to get. We're going to give them powerful build. Paste that text straight from there because that's the beauty of selling on DM's Guild. You are allowed to pull information from the book to a limited degree. You can quote things and things like that. So you're even allowed to. We're always going to put the transformation powers last, even though that breaks the. You know, they have the they stick to alphabetical order with their features usually. But yeah, so you can deal fire damage to creatures grappling, powerful build. This is a lesser version of the child one, by the way. So, okay, in case you're wondering, we are trying to pull, in case you hadn't noticed, we're trying to pull information from other versions. I think that, oh, this is a good idea. Okay, I have an idea. So, fiery form is going to have, yeah, we will call it stable flame. So that sounds cool. And we were going to say, let's see, when you deal fire damage with a spell. No, we're just going to say when you deal fire damage, or when you would deal fire damage. No, yeah. Actually, okay, so firebolt is a 1d10. We're going to say you deal fire damage with a magical effect, you deal an additional 1d10 fire damage. Or, yeah, that would, you deal an additional 1d10 fire damage. I think we're gonna say when you deal fire damage with a magical effect to a creature or object, you deal an additional 1d10 fire damage, and that sounds good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna then take stable flame. We're gonna also give it to the hero form. And so now the hero form has a fly speed. It's fiery grasp. It can grapple things and deal fire damage with it. And when you deal fire damage with a magical effect to a creature or object, you deal an additional 1d10 fire damage. So that kind of may double up because fiery grasp. Okay. I believe what we should do. We're doubling up and doubling up at this point. I think it's because I've taken multiple days to go over it and edit again. Maybe because I didn't review at the beginning of the episode, so maybe there is a benefit to it. But here we go. So powerful build means you're going to be able to grapple easier. Stable flame fire grasp means you're going to deal fire damage whenever you do. Burning wings means you're going to be able to fly, so you're going to be able to grapple anything in the sky as well. So you're actually getting a lot of grapple here, which that's not intentional that I'm doing a lot of grapple in the last couple of times. It's not like I'm especially enjoying grapple. I just felt like if you're touching something and you're on fire, you should deal fire damage. And so grappling specifically, I felt like should be a good idea for that. Burning, because that's intentionally dealing, touching something like that. Burning wings, I mean, I could make it a touch spell like effect, but like even give you burning hands, like let you cast burning hands or something like that. But that means you have to make an attack roll, and that means that powerful build doesn't apply. And this is as a bonus action, so you could grapple them, then burn them. Yeah, I think dealing it as an additional 1d6 down here, fire damage. We should upgrade this to a 1d8. And then fire damage. And then fire, so it's slightly stronger than the other one. And then fiery grasp is going to deal, or you know what, we'll say 1d6. So you deal, you can deal additional fire damage equal to 1d6 plus your Constitution modifier. So the bonus is that you add your Constitution modifier. So we're going to call this Enhanced Stable Flame, or not just Stable Flame, but we can call it or Stable. Let's see. Stable Inferno would then go back to the fact this is the Inferno form. So Stable Inferno, when you deal fire damage with a magical effect, you create to a creature or object, you can deal additional fire damage equal to 1d6 plus your Constitution modifier. Again, I don't like that it's cutting off there, but we'll figure that out later. So this is pretty stacked at this point. You can deal spells, or you can be a fighter, because you can grapple. Because whenever you grapple, you deal fire damage, and then you also then would benefit from this. So you'll be dealing, you'll be dealing 2d6 plus your con modifier whenever you fiery grasp things. Because of this. But it's as a bonus action. You actually have to activate this. You don't just automatically get this. The child one, or the flare form one, the teenage one, I suppose. The incendiary oil effect down here does just happen. All creatures grappling you and that you are grappling just take that damage at the start of each of their turns until you change forms again. This is our grappling. Yeah. Creatures you grapple. Let's see. I have an idea of how to reword this. When you grapple a creature or become grappled by a creature, they are covered in your burning oils. Creatures covered in your, we're going to say incendiary oils because it's the name of the effect, and it sounds cool. Your incendiary oils. Creatures covered in your incendiary oils. Oh, did I? Your incendiary oils take 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns until you change forms again. They become covered. When you grapple a creature or become grappled by a creature, they are covered in your incendiary oils. Creatures covered in your incendiary oils take 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of their turns until you change forms again. Okay, flaring ignition. A burning oil ignites on your skin while you rapidly grow in size. So yeah, there we go. There we go. That sounds much better. Because now we have a triggering event, and it lasts for a while until you transform. And you transform very, very quickly because when you take an action or bonus action, you gain a heat intensity point. When you reach 2 or more points, you glow with a 15-foot radius of dim light and instantly assume your fiery form before the transformation light douses. So thinking about this too. We don't want this form to last a long time. We may remove bonus actions from this one. But yeah, we're already leaving the trail behind, so we do want it to transform fairly quickly because we don't want you to just run around indefinitely. What we could do is, yeah. So here's an idea. This one is burning uncontrollably. It's just constantly consuming its energy. It's constantly sweating out the oil and doing and losing that oil to the ground. It's constantly dripping that oil off. So here's what we can do. Let's see. What we can do is we can say at the start of each of your turns, roll a Constitution saving throw. We actually say DC. A DC 15. We'll say 15. Yeah, Constitution saving throw, or suffer 1 level of exhaustion. So the idea is, in 1 turn, you could just become this, move, take an action and a bonus action, and transform. And then you'll never have to suffer any level of exhaustion because you only need to get 2 points. If you don't, then you will gain, then you'll gain a level of exhaustion at the start of your next turn, or you'll have a high chance of gaining a level of exhaustion at the start of next turn. You'll have to make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. Now, we did make Constitution one of your main stats here. And if you pick like a sorcerer, you might succeed on this very easily. So maybe we could make something here where this actually scales with you, so that sorcerers won't be able to eventually just like stay in this form and just run around and burn everything. But there's not really a problem with that, I don't think. Ooh, I don't want to move that around. Just trying to select. There's not really a problem with that necessarily because it only deals a little bit of damage. And you don't really want to be in this form very much anyway because of the 25 feet. We'll see how that goes. I think we're gonna leave. We're getting to the point where perhaps we're nearing the end. We definitely need to get, we need to finalize how they all transform into one another. Consumes your body, leaving behind a living ashy husk. You glow with a 15-foot radius of dim light, then instantly assume your ashen form before the transformation. The transformative light douses. Um, and then let's see, ashen forms. Or ashen form, I mean. We have all that. Burning wings. We definitely don't want wings anymore. Let's see. Now, at this point, I think that because you're ashes, we may make you immune to fire damage again, and that may be all we give you. Lower movement speed and then immunity to fire damage may be what we give you. But maybe a vulnerability to bludgeoning damage because you're consumed and burned up and stuff. Let's see. Oh, right, that's what it was that we were going to do. Your maximum hit points are halved. So yeah, we're going to say that, let's see. Let's see. We can just call this Ashen Husk and say your maximum hit points are halved. And let's see. Okay, so basically the Ashen form is your final form. You always take it after this one. Now, we had not said how long this one lasts. We never got into that. We were planning on doing that last week, or a couple days ago. So let's see, Burning Wings. We're going to go ahead and change this to, let's see. We're going to call this feature, I think, Raging Inferno, or so there's a lot of features here just to make this function, and maybe we will be able to take each of these features that leads into the next one, or receives transformation. You know, the one that specifies what happens when you transform. On the other end, we might be able to sort of like meld them all together and sort of condense them down into a primary class feature, the one up top that's for the thing. But that will only do that if it makes sense and makes it simpler, because it might just be simpler to watch which form you're in. We're also getting into the point where we have a lot of features here, but again, like they only apply during the form you're in, and there are both features that are bad for you and features that are positive for you because of the fact that you're going to be you're not going to have them all the time. So we'll see how that goes. But okay, so Raging Inferno. You grow in stature and 2. Let's see. You know, it'd be cool. We're gonna give you 4 wings. 4 fiery wings erupt from your back. Let's see. Rapidly grow in stature, and your 4 fiery wings erupt from your back. We're gonna say strength. All right, so that's simple, but we also have to say your fire begins to consume you. You gain one. I just thought of something. What if we use the levels of exhaustion to determine when you end up in your ashen form? That's a good question. if you become your ashen form when you get a certain level of exhaustion. We could tie that in. We could even make that into the primary feature of the life cycle. That would imply you're getting your fire is growing and then eventually consuming your body, and you're gaining that. Is there a level of exhaustion that is? I believe there is a level of exhaustion that halves your hit points. So if we make you transform into your elder form the moment you hit that level of exhaustion, and we give you levels of exhaustion for each of the different with different features. Hit point maximum is halved is at level 4. Disadvantage on ability checks is level 1. Speed halved is level 2. Disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws is number 3, and then hit points halved is number 4. So what if when what if at the start of every turn, as your heroic form. Okay, hold on. This might be weird. This might be the key rule that actually will be how we link all these together. And you might remember at the very beginning of creating this, I created the life cycle feature up here. Right here, life cycle. And I named it and I talked about it. I hadn't even written this yet. You can take on one of many forms, assuming them in a sequence, or when special events occur. That's not even like an actual rule. That's just a description of a rule that was going to be there. But I also described it on the stream, and what we came up with at the time was. Or what we said at the time was that there was going to be a chance that once we wrote all of this out, all the different forms, that there would be something that we came up with that would allow us to sequence through them easier. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that so the flare form is going to potentially get you levels of exhaustion, and then the fiery form, which is the regular adult form, does not yet. And then, but here we can say, like we were saying before, you gain 1 level of exhaustion each turn, or at the start of each turn. At the start of each of your turns, or you might say at the end of each of your turns. The end of each of your turns, because that gives the idea that that turn just consumed you a bit. So, when you reach an exhaustion level. So, okay. Okay, so you gain 1 level of exhaustion at the end of each of your turns. So, okay. Burning oil ignites in your skin while you rapidly grow in size. We might be able to put this up there. You take an action or bonus action, you gain a heat intensity point. So... Okay. Alright, so if this gains you a level of exhaustion at the end of each of your turns, okay, you rapidly grow in stature and strength, and 4 fiery wings erupt from your back. Your fire begins to consume you. You gain 1 level of exhaustion at the end of each of your turns. So if we make it... Okay, let's go back up here to life cycle. Oh, no, wrong. We're going to go here. That's it right there. Yep. You can take on one of many forms, assuming them in a sequence or when special events occur. Okay. Okay. You assume we can say you assume your egg form at the start. Let's see. Whenever you sleep, you assume your egg form whenever you would sleep. Long rest. Otherwise, you assume your egg form whenever you would sleep during a long rest or otherwise. That might make the egg form a little bit. We might just say during a long rest. Sleep spell should not necessarily make you, like, you can lose consciousness even if you're not, you don't assume your egg form just to lose consciousness. Okay, you assume your egg form whenever you would sleep during a long rest, or whenever you are not unconscious. Whenever you are knocked unconscious, or whenever you sleep as part of a long rest, whenever you are knocked unconscious, or whenever you die. So let's see. Whenever you okay, so whenever you you assume your elder or your ashen form. We should probably open this up. I think that would be make more sense. You assume your ashen form whenever you reach exhaustion level 4 or greater. Reach exhaustion level 4 or greater. So, okay. Exhaustion level 4 or greater. Okay. So, now you can go, theoretically, you could go, flare form could instantaneously bring you straight into ashen form if you just sit there and do exhaustion levels all day long. As soon as you hit exhaustion level 4, which is having your hit point maximum is halved. So we can actually remove Ashen Husk here. While burned to an Ashen Husk, you are about 5 feet tall and weigh around 120 pounds. Your size is medium. And we can actually say, once again, well, actually we could say cinder, or okay, well, here's the feature. And we'll copy this for the title, and we'll say let's see, ember, something involving what is it? There's the cinders are embers, cinders, basically that last little bit of glow in the ashes. I mean, we can just call it cinders. You gain 1 level of exhaustion at the end of each of your turn, or merely cinders. You gain 1 level of exhaustion at the end of each of your turns. So, okay, so remember, 6th level exhaustion is death. So, as an old person, you will have disadvantage on ability checks. Your speed will be halved. You'll have disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. You know what we should do? If your speed is going to be halved, the Inferno form needs to be faster. And the reason is because I'm thinking 50 feet on ground and 30 feet by air. And because the second thing that happens whenever you gain your exhaustion levels every turn, second one is going to slow you down, I mean. So if you go into the Inferno form without any exhaustion levels, you'll be able to last 4 turns. Disadvantage on ability checks, speed is halved, then disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws, and then hit point maximum is halved. So the Inferno form is something you don't necessarily want to enter into if you can avoid it. So your fiery form, unless you really need to. So stable flame, when you deal fire damage with a magical effect to a creature or object, you deal an additional 1d6 fire damage. Inferno transformation. As a bonus action, you can attempt to assume your Inferno form. Make a DC 20 Constitution check. Adding your proficiency modifier on a success, you glow with a 15-foot. Okay, so we actually got rid of and haven't added back in the let's see. We're gonna call this Bursting Inferno, or Erupting. I know we used Erupting earlier. I don't remember if we used it for a feature name or Erupting Inferno. Okay, so at this point, we have just about everything. You can transform into the Inferno form by choice. You'll become your Ashen form when you gain too many exhaustion levels. As far as this is concerned, there is not a we don't have a thing that always puts you into your Ashen form. I mean, we do. It always puts you in your Ashen form when you gain certain levels of exhaustion. You continue to gain levels of exhaustion until you die. So as it stands, you can. So if we were going if we were comparing this to Dave at this point, there are several differences that are aside from the fact that you're a phoenix and the fire and all that kind of stuff. But there's the egg form that you assume whenever you die or take a long rest. There is the baby form that eventually transforms itself into the teenager form. Then the teenager form, which eventually transforms itself into the adult form. Now the adult form with Dave always then goes into the hero form at some point, and then he exhausts himself into a husk. And he's sort of like a locust shell kind of husk, almost looking. But anyway, when he transforms, he can also eventually, I think he may learn to focus and turn into the hero form, but I don't remember very well. And I don't want to spoil anything. So, but basically, whenever it hops into that one, hops into the next one, I think that's that it'll work as is. It's not exactly like his. His always goes into the elder form before becoming a baby, before becoming an egg again. But we are going with, so far, you only go there if you gain exhaustion levels. I think that's better because players don't want to necessarily become, like, they're already penalized, but then also enhanced with the other forms. The Husk form is pure penalizing. The Husk form is a penalty for taking on the Inferno form. The Inferno form has nothing that says you can transform back into your normal form after you take it, so you will, after 4 turns, gain enough exhaustion levels, at least 4 turns. At most 4 turns, unless you can recover exhaustion levels or something to that effect during your turn. So you will eventually do that. Yeah. Basically, I think it looks good. I think that looks great. And I think we're good for now. There are probably going to be a lot of little changes I make, little tweaks I make, quality of life changes, for example, before it's actually released to DM's Guild. But I think that unless I come up with something that's major change, and I've got to go in and add descriptions here, but I've described them to you verbally, so I don't think we need that for the show. But basically, yeah, if we yeah, I think we're good. I think this is done. I may actually be able to. This is one thing that you might see is I kind of these descriptions of receiving the transformation. I realized don't necessarily have to be here. They could be in the description itself of the form. That's how I did it with the Dawada, and I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. And that would decrease the number of features that we have, like named features, which will also free up some of these words. I could recycle them, put them into other areas that where they might be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, basically, yeah, that you might see that change, and you might see some other small quality of life changes throughout it that will like balance things. I'm going to give it to my players and see what they think and see because I've got several players that are all my players are very good at talking about. I mean, predicting problems because two of them have been. One of them is really good at doing it because he's just plays a lot of D&D and is a DM himself. The other two are really, really good at it because they used to be playtesters for Electronic Arts, like myself. So we're going to we're going to go through this. We're going to play test it. We're going to QA test it, technically. Quality assurance and analyst and all that whatnot. The point is that, yeah, we're going to go through all this. We're going to test it. We're going to see what we can do to break it and find out how I need to tweak it before we release it. So you might not see it for another, maybe a couple of weeks. I know the last one that's based on the Doom guy, the Doom Slayer. It's been about at least a week since I created originally. I think it's been a week and a half. It's still not on the DM's Guild. It will be up soon. I'm just still making some tweaks. I created a background for it to add to it. I think I showed it off 2 episodes ago to show you what changes have been made to it so far. And I'm thinking about trying to create a custom art for the front cover because the one I was using was Creative Commons, and I don't know if that's going to sell very well, and it doesn't exactly fit it perfectly. It just looks really good. Anyway, yep, that's all. That's all for today. It's not going to be a full hour today because we didn't do the recap. It's just about an hour, but we didn't do the recap, so that should help. Hopefully, it'll make the show a little bit more easy to watch for people. All right, so yeah, thank you very much for coming, and keep playing, keep enjoying D&D, keep creating your stuff, and I will see you next time. Thank you.